Hello, my name is Edward Funches. I am the founder and president of Inclusion Marketing Advertisement Group. This documentary is to bring awareness to the auto industry leaders, people that are in position that can help and make a difference.
Front passenger seat, hand control.
The motor vehicle, if that vehicle is tailored to or
Roll right in and click into a dock, and
Hello, my name is Latonya Watkins, and I'm an attorney in Rockland County, New York. And we are here to discuss the changes in the auto industry that are necessary and timely. Okay, so I'm meeting here with Edward, and the issue that we're here to discuss is the lack of accommodations for people with disabilities in the auto industry. Imagine going to purchase a car and having the ability to look at the car, smell the car, sit in the car, but no ability to drive the car. Imagine having to take your car in for service and having the ability to pick the car that you want as a replacement vehicle, but not be able to drive that vehicle off the lot. That's the reality that faces many people with physical disabilities in this country, and it is an issue that the auto industry has refused or neglected to address. I say refused or neglected because I had an experience once where I invited a client or a potential client to my office to have a meeting, and it never occurred to me that because he was in a wheelchair, he couldn't come up the stairs. My office is not wheelchair accessible. I am in an annex of a building that does have wheelchair accessibility, but my particular office does not. So I had to make arrangements to meet somewhere else. But it is something that never occurred to me because it didn't have to. And I felt very bad because I think of myself as a politically, socially, emotionally conscious person. But it did not occur to me that that was a limitation.
I am so blessed that I'm able to drive. I was thrilled when I was here at Helen Hayes. I was able to take 4 driving lessons, and I took 2 more before I had to take my road test. And getting into that car and being able to drive myself anywhere I want to go is an absolute blessing. I didn't think I'd be able to drive after I had my spinal stroke, but I am blessed that I'm able to. I had to have my car retrofit, however, with hand controls in order to be able to do that. And expensive. It was nearly $3,000. And it just boggles the mind that with the technology that's available today, that your cars still need to be taken apart, cut up, and hand controls have to be put in.
Hey, what's up? My name's Armin. I'm a quadriplegic. Been injured for 11 years now. Been driving for 20 years now. And I use my feet to drive now, but for a long time I had hand controls, and it was really difficult getting the right hand controls for the vehicle and hooking it up all the time. And then if someone has to drive your car, you want to take them out, put them back in, and there's a lot more that the auto industry could do for handicapped drivers.
The experience that I've had with the auto industry is the latest thing we did in 2016. We went and bought a Jeep Cherokee Latitude. I explained to the dealer that my husband was in a wheelchair and I needed something that would be easy for him to get into. The dealer showed me on the vehicle that we bought, the hand thing that you can pull down on the side. Oh, you can use that. Or I can show you another Jeep. It's the Grand, and it'll be easier for him to get into. So he shows me this Jeep. He shows me how it comes down lower to his level. I'm like, okay, great, perfect. But this Jeep costs another $10,000. And just for this one feature, for my husband to get into a vehicle, it's another $10,000. The automobile industry is not designed for people with handicaps, disabilities and things like that to get into the car. You want these things, you're going to have to pay for it, even though it's a necessity, even though we're already paying for all these extra amenities on the car. But basically that's my experience with the auto industry. This was in Poughkeepsie, Dutchess Dodge, and it's the Jeep company. And you would think, built to make it tough, you can go around mountains and everything else in these Jeeps, but you can't get in it if you're in a wheelchair. So that's the experience we've had thus far.
So getting back to the auto industry and the auto repair industry that makes no such accommodations for persons with disabilities, we need to have a historic and innovative approach to change in that industry. We need people who are in charge of making decisions to come up with revolutionary necessary changes.
My name is Robert Sinclair Jr., Manager of Community Relations for AAA Northeast. I want to talk to you today about the problems that the disabled face when they are trying to exercise their independence as drivers and getting behind the wheel. There is not enough of a commitment from the vehicle manufacturers in making the equipment available on new vehicles that would assist the disabled to be independent and get behind the wheel. If a disabled person, and it's a term I hate to use, but if a person who does not have the skills or the abilities that perhaps the rest of us take for granted wants to get a new car, they can go and look at the car and buy the car, but they can't drive it. The vehicle then must be taken to a specialty shop for this equipment to be added. It's an extra cost, extra burden, and it's something that vehicle manufacturers need to look into.
Because the dealership does not have a car that they can lend me. So I find that to be a huge problem. I also don't have the ability now to go test drive a car if and when I am ready to buy a new car, because the dealership, again, does not have hand controls on new vehicles. So I'm not able to test drive a car like, able-bodied people are. So I find that to be a problem. I just have to take somebody's word for it, like, hey, look, brand new car, this is terrific. We recommend you get this one. But why should I not be able to test drive a car like everybody else can test drive a car? So, I find that to be a huge disadvantage that, people just don't think about, able-bodied people don't think about that. They have the ability to do that, and we don't have the ability to do that. But, hopefully by the time I'm ready to get a new car, that will have changed, and I will be able to, have that same ability as able-bodied people.
All the amenities that the auto industry have placed in these vehicles, like the keyless entry, navigation, Bluetooth, and a host of other amenities they have in these vehicles. I'm talking about Max and Auto Industry help us break these barriers, include individuals that are disabled.
Okay, so this is a power side entry van. Now, in most side entry vans, the front seats can be removed. They come out without any tools required, and they even have wheels on them, so they roll down the wheelchair ramp. Now, some people might want to sit in the middle row, which is really the area that's designed for the wheelchair to sit. But a lot of times the person might want to sit in the front passenger seat. The front passenger seat comes out and the person will lock their wheelchair down over there. Even more exciting is when somebody who has a disability still has the ability to drive.
In today's society, we see all this technology. We see that cars have the ability to do a lot of different things: Bluetooth, self-park, cruise control. So what we're seeing is patients that want to go out, they want to test drive, they want to learn how to drive again. And to hear that they have to pay extra money just for the equipment and to instill all of these things is raising big awareness here. Patients that have, the ability to drive, they want that, they need that. And to make them pay extra for it is really something that we need to look at. We need to raise awareness about that.
Specializes in driving rehab. So somebody who has never driven before and wants to drive, or somebody that has driven before but now needs to learn to drive a different way. They'll work with one of these occupational therapists who's a driving rehab
Industry
specialist.
areas. If they have to take their car in to be repaired, if they have to purchase a car, again, there's nothing more alarming to me than the thought of having to go and see a car, sit in a car, smell the car, touch the car, but can't drive the car. What's the purpose? We need to be more sensitive to our fellow citizens, especially in light of the fact that with all of the violence and injury that's taking place in other countries, in this country, in war-torn areas that are sending our soldiers home disabled, we need to make accommodations for them. They've served this country, so the least that we can do is allow them to be able to drive their own vehicle.
My name's Daniel Brady. I'm about 3 years post-injury. My driving experience started off, I was trapped in my house, no way to get around, out to see friends, get around anywhere. I started inquiring about the vehicle and found out what I need to do to get it, and I have to pay for the vehicle, but then I also have to pay for all the components that are put into it just for me to drive it. So that was a bit of a pain, but once I got the vehicle, my whole world changed. I had opened up doors for everything. Just to be out and get out and find freedom was the best experience I can ever imagine. And now, almost a year and a half, 2 years later, I have a job. I'm getting out there, getting out with friends, moving around, and going places anywhere.
I've been disabled for more than 20 years. In these 20 years, I have purchased several vehicles. In order for me to drive, I have to purchase hand controls, which are an aftermarket part and an added expense. I know the auto industry has the ability to create hand controls for individuals that are disabled. I say that to say, cruise control is for any and every one.
Hi, my name is Christopher Eskinazi. I'm a physician with specialization in reconstructive regenerative medicine and surgery. Today I'm here speaking with Edward Funches in regards to his mission with Inclusion, a corporation he developed in 2014 from a spinal cord injury he had in 1994. Edward and myself have been talking for some time in regard to the challenges and lack of awareness in people with I guess you could say disabilities as far as spinal cord injury. Today, Edward, his mission is to create awareness for people who are involved with the driving and the daily activities of life, especially with that of, like I said, spinal cord injury and hand control use. One of the problems and difficulties he's encountering in the environment that he's functioning within is that people are finding great, I guess, lack of either concern or people getting and taking an active role in promoting hand control use or creating vehicles that are readily available, or whether it be purchasing an option to purchase this vehicle with these controls, or getting a loaner of vehicles when bringing the car for service. Again, these aren't options that aren't available at car makers today. These are all aftermarket products, which do create difficulty, and that's especially that of being cost effective. A lot of people that are encountering these obstacles don't have the finances that are readily available currently to take advantage of those opportunities. As I said, one of his main goals was promoting this awareness. And today, I think it is not only lack of awareness, I think it's just a lot of governmental support or people realizing that there is a great need for this. I think from my perspective today, looking at technology, with intuitive technology, this is something that we have readily available. Car makers such as GM, Tesla, Nissan, Cadillac are currently working with this technology, whether it be vehicle-to-vehicle information communication, whether it be Super Cruise, or whether it be some adaptive environment which make these modalities and abilities capable to people with spinal cord injuries or disabilities, or the, like I said, challenges. From my standpoint, I think this is something that we can take hold of today. That being said, today I do believe that this is a really just cause, that we need to take and promote Edward's mission, stand behind him from all forms of whether it be the medical environment, the rehabilitation environment, or just a local and state and federal government. I think this is something we need to stand behind and support him in this mission, and I would do that just as much as everybody else will. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Manny De La Cruz. I work at the Access Project. I'm the general manager here. I just wanted to talk to you about inclusion and what the movement is about. And what it's about is about the auto industry not making it equal, having an equal playing field. Where I would like to purchase a car. I have money. I have a good job. You know, I would like to go buy a BMW as well, but I can't drive it. Why? Because when I get there, I can't test drive the car, and I don't think anybody would buy a $40,000, $50,000 car without testing it. You know, I have my equipment that I can hook up to it. They still don't allow that to happen. So therefore, I'm stuck buying a minivan, and because that's the only vehicle available on the market where I can test drive before buying it. And I just don't think that's right. You know, I would also like to get included and have an opportunity to drive a nice car like I used to. So please, let's do something about this.
My name's Adoff. I'm T9, T10 complete paraplegic. Actually, wait, this month is 5 years now. I guess for me, driving, yeah, I love driving, especially my convertible that I got just after my accident, and I had to put hand controls in it, which they really mutilated my dashboard doing that. It was terrible. And most people out of politeness would say, it's alright, you really can't even notice it. I notice it. I'm sure everybody else does too. Because the hand controls themselves, you know, bring attention to it. So, I guess the thing that bothers me most is that I can't test drive a car. I want to be able to test drive a car. I have a nice car now, but if I wanted to upgrade into another car, I can't do it.
When I first thought about this issue, I thought about the Equal Protection Clause and Brown versus the Board of Education, Roe versus Wade. These are cases that are not constitutionally, textually consistent. There's nothing in the Constitution that says brown people, white people, equal rights and accommodations until after Brown versus the Board of Education. Roe versus Wade, there was nothing specific that said anything about abortion rights in the text of the Constitution. These were intelligent, legal-minded people who crafted a law out of a law that was, I don't want to say ambiguous, but open to interpretation. And that's exactly what we need to do with respect to the auto industry. We need to take the equal protection laws of this country and that are specific to the state and federal government, and apply them to accommodations for people who have disabilities. With all of the veterans coming home from all of the recent wars that are wheelchair bound, and you have Habitat for Humanity, and you have the other agencies and corporations that are doing great things. They're building homes, they're building ramps. Those efforts need to apply also to the auto industry. Because everyone who is wheelchair bound shouldn't have to depend on a van to ride them around. They should be able to drive. They have hands that enable them to operate a motor vehicle if that vehicle is tailored to, or the specificity of that vehicle is tailored to the needs of those people. The purpose of this video, and Edward, you can correct me if I'm wrong, is to draw attention to the lack of accommodations for people who are in wheelchairs or other disabilities that prevent them from operating motor vehicles conventionally the way that we all do. And maybe it's something that the auto industry really hasn't thought about because no one's brought it to their attention. Clearly, Brown versus the Board of Education had years and years of litigation before that decision was released. Roe versus Wade, same thing. These are not cases that you have one incident of a case in a court that changed the laws of this nation. It sometimes takes time. So hopefully, this issue is something that we can address now and then innovatively come up with solutions to allow all of our citizens to be able to be mobile and to get around in all auto industry.
3? I have 3 cars right now. My car, and my son's car. My wife drives my cars, and my son drives his car, but I can't drive my son's car because it doesn't have hand controls in it. I'd like to be able to drive my son's car, but like I said, he doesn't have hand controls. But if he had this technology, I'd be able to just get in the car and drive it, because it really is nothing to do. There are cars that drive themselves already, What is it to put, make a paddle shifter, an accelerator, and the other side a brake? I should have been done already, but Maserati, yeah. But every time I drive by the Maserati dealer, I'd love to just get out and look at it. Yeah, it's great. What I want to do is I want to be able to test drive it, because I might not like it, but there really is no way of telling until I buy the car, and then I have to disfigure the dashboard, because a lot of times the hand controls don't go all the way down to the brake and the accelerator pedal. And truthfully, I use my electronics more than I use my actual hand control acceleration, because a lot of my driving is highway, because of my environment. So I use my cruise control a lot. What would be really good is if I could accelerate by hand without using the hand control, having the actual accelerator and brake while both my hands are on the steering wheel. And not just that, but to be able to control blinkers right from the steering wheel. Not just a radio or, your navigation. And yeah, that's all great. But if you can put that on a steering wheel, I'm absolutely positive that we can accelerate from a steering wheel and we can brake as well from a steering wheel. What do we have to do? I mean, what do we have to do?
Audio Jungle.
My name's Chris. I'm paralyzed. I'm waist down, T10. These are my modified hand controls I made myself. I couldn't afford what they had on the market, anywhere from $500 to $1,000. And I didn't like that mechanical stuff anyway, where you had to do this. So I prefer my own hand controls I made. They're portable. Just clamp onto the pedals, as you see down there. These nuts and bolts right here. Clamp onto the pedal. Thumbs up. Thread rod. This is the brake. This is the gas. Got full control. Full mobility. Like drive. Basically normal, like I was driving. And they're portable. I can take them on and off and drive anything. And anybody can drive my car in any case if they need to. I feel I shouldn't have had made my own. It's 2017. They got cars parking themselves, driving themselves. They need to think about, a disabled person, They should make it available that comes with the cars. There's something on the steering wheel, something adapted for us, That's how I feel.
Audio Jungle.
Hello, I'm Wesley Thomas. I'm a paraplegic, T3, and I want to drive. It costs too much money for them hand control, so could you make it easier for us to drive?
So working with the spinal cord injury population, we see a lot of individuals that come through here and have to go the extra mile just in their recovery process. When they leave here, to hear that there is not resources for them to just drive a vehicle is something that we need to raise awareness about. A independence, a meaning for them to have all of these things that are stopping them from getting point A to point B, that can bring a person just down, dependent on others. And we see that every day. We see what that does to an individual. And on top of that, having a spinal cord injury. When we can put these things in place,
to a specialty shop for this equipment to be added. It's an extra cost, an extra burden, and it's something that vehicle manufacturers need to look into. They need to be able to make these pieces of equipment available on new vehicles from the factory. It would be relative child's play for the vehicle manufacturers to be able to do this, and we hope and implore them to do so. I'm looking forward to working with anyone who might be able to assist in the challenge of making it plain to vehicle manufacturers that it would be in their interests and in the interests of everyone that's on the road as far as safety is concerned to be able to make this equipment available, to do the research and development necessary to have these things on as many new vehicles as possible from the factory.
This is an appeal to the auto industry and auto industry leaders to not limit individuals that are disabled when it comes to driving. We want to be included when it comes to test driving vehicles and bringing your vehicle in for service. We want to be included in your marketing and advertisement campaigns because our money spends just like everyone else's.